let's just recap a little bit. Our chief verse has been Galatians chapter number 6, verse number 7. Yes or no? I asked you a question. Yes or no? Okay. So Galatians 6, verse 7. It says, "Do not be what? Do not be deceived." Well, don't be deceived about what? That God is not what? What's that mean? Yeah, teach me something. What's that mean? God is not mocked. What does that mean? He not gonna be made a fool of. He ain't going to be made to be a liar. Yes or no? Okay. So Apostle Paul's writing here. He says, "Don't you dare be deceived. God is not mocked." Don't you dare be deceived. You won't make God to be a liar. Well, what are we talking about? He won't be a liar about what? Well, let's keep reading. For whatever one, would you be included in the whatever one? Say, okay, this is talking about me. Say, this is talking about me. Whatever one sows, that. What does that mean? What you sow. Yes or no? Okay, so Apostle Paul says, don't be deceived. God's not mocked. He won't be made fun of. He won't be made out to be a liar. Whatever you sow, that thing, what you sowed, you gonna reap. So if you sow hate, you gonna reap hate. If you sow bad attitude, you gonna reap someone with a bad attitude. If you sow love, you're going to reap love. If you sow yourself friendly, you're going to reap friendly people. You sow favor, you're going to reap favor. Whatever you sow, that's the thing that you're going to what? Reap. So what it begs me to ask is, well, what am I sowing? In every single moment, you got an opportunity to sow something. You know what I'm saying? Someone treats you bad, what you about to sow back? Right? Because I want to reap something. Okay, for the one who sows to his own flesh will from the flesh reap corruption. But the one who sows to the spirit, say they talking about me now, they talking about me now. Yeah, the one who sows to the spirit will from the spirit reap eternal life. Verse number 9 is where this thing gets really good to me. And then he says, and let us not grow what? Let us not grow what? So then we got to ask ourselves, what are you talking about? Because this is one of those verses here that it gets so misused. Because people hear the word weary and they think that it's talking about being tired. It's a form of tiredness, but not the tiredness like I've been working and exerting a whole bunch of energy. And so, you hear people say, they get tired. Man, don't get weary and you're well doing. That's not what he's talking about. What he's talking about is don't get weary in your sowing. He's saying, listen, don't be deceived. God's not mocked. Whatever a man sows, that's what he's going to reap. And here's the deal. When you're sowing, though, don't you dare get weary. Why would he say that? Because what he understands is that for some of us, I feel like I've been sowing and sowing and sowing, and I have yet to see that which I've sowed come back. Anyone ever felt like that before? Like I've been doing a lot of sowing, but I ain't seen a lot of reaping. I've been doing a lot of sowing. I've been doing a lot of giving. I've been giving of myself, giving of my time, giving of my family. I'm doing a lot of giving out here, but I have not been on the reaping end. And what he says is, throw it back up there, please. And what he says is, listen. He says, man, don't get weary of doing good. For in due season. Uh, DUE. For in due season. I think it's the NLT. Apostle Paul says, at the appointed time. It's so important for you to know this, that you got an appointed time. Say, I have an appointed time. What do you mean? He's saying, listen, don't you dare give up now because there's coming a season that's due to you. Okay, calm down. Jay, I'm trying to preserve myself because I got like 12 more minutes. But I get so excited, Mom, when I know that there's a season with my name on it. I get excited when I know God says, no, I've seen every seed that you have sown, and I've seen every time you did what was right. And what I'm telling you is that there's coming a day that has your name on it where you're going to get everything that's due to you. It just encourages me because it lets me know that God is not forgotten. It lets me know that God hasn't overlooked. It lets me know that God hasn't said, okay, man, you're just doing this for nothing. He says, no, I've got an appointed time just at the right time where it's going to come through and blow your freaking mind. Did he just say that? DUE. But in order for me to see the DUE, I have to DO. I don't get the DUE without the DO. Say do the do. Do the do. Make it do what it do, boo. No, listen. Listen. There's something that you have to do to get the do. Oh, I'm going to make all this connecting to say. There's something that you have to do to get the do. Because the season, okay, say this. My season is waiting on my obedience. Shell, my season is waiting on my obedience. No, I'm getting an email right now. Because so many of us have a season with your name on it. It's been reserved, but God reserved it and then he gave an instruction because he knew what season was coming. And so he gave you an instruction before the season shows up. And if you perform the instruction, then when it's time for it to come due, because you did the DO, you now qualify for the DUE. But many of us will miss the DUE because we're not doing the DO. Because oftentimes when God, I'm in the flow now. Because oftentimes when God tells you to DO, it don't seem convenient. It don't make sense. It's like outside of your comfort zone. You trying to figure out how you're going to do it. But he's giving you the DO instruction because on his mind he got the DUE season. He's giving you the DO instruction because on his mind, he has the DUE season. And he's looking at this season, and he's cultivating it, and he's getting he ready. And he say, oh, they going to love this, but first they got a DO. Okay, y'all remember when I was in third grade, they was trying to teach us something called photosynthesis. Don't know how to spell it then, can't spell it now. It's photosynthesis. Y'all remember that? They gave you that little styrofoam cup. They gave you some topseed oil, a plant. They say you go put some water in there and just put that thing on the windowsill. And you're going to get a plant. Y'all remember that? Yeah, photosynthesis. It makes me sound real smart, don't it? Day one would come, and you'd be like, they're like, ain't nothing coming out of this photosynthesis. And then day two come, ain't nothing coming out of this photosynthesis. And day three, I'm broke. Day four, and after a while, you just forgot about it. You said photosynthesis don't work. It don't work. You just forgot about it. And then one day, your little happy tail went to go get your Lunchable, and you came back, and he was like, photosynthesis. Saw a plant, right? And you kind of forgot about it. See, the kingdom works the same way. Okay, stop seed watching. Ooh, stop seed watching. No. Stop seed watching. Just sow that seed and trust trust the process. Trust that it's going to work. You sow the seed and you just walk away and you know that because I did the DO, I got a DUE season. I can't get weary because I don't see it. But the reality is, if you're in the kingdom, you don't walk by your sight anyway. You walk by faith and not by sight. You know what I'm saying? And so I sow the seed and I just trust God for the rest. But I want to be honest. Sometimes we get weary. And so I want to speak to a chick who was weary, man. That chick was weary. In 1 Kings, chick is a term of endearment for me, by the way, so don't get offended by that. But 1 Kings, chapter number 17. Okay, let me give you the backdrop of what's happening. You have Elijah here, okay? Okay? All right, now, come on. We're not virtual learning. Elijah, y'all got to help me out today. I'm giving you everything I got. Trust me. So you got Elijah here today. Well, not today, but there. And he just did something. He declared a famine. He saw the wickedness that was in this earth. And that's kind of where we are now. It was evil. It's uncrossed over the wicked. This stuff is terrible. And so Elijah said, well, how about this? It ain't going to rain till I say so. You should just start saying that some of that same faith, it ain't going to do without till I say so. But so he declared a famine, and then what happened is he went up to the brook of Cherith, and the ravens were feeding him. But what's happened is that the water has run dry, and it makes sense because brooks get refilled by water, by rain. And so it hasn't been raining, so the brook is dry. Are you hear what I'm saying? I'm about to teach this, and it's about to be so good. Okay, so the brook, it's about to run dry, and God tells him, get up and go to another place. I love that when you're really in the flow with God, he'll move you before you ever experience a drought. Listen, it's about to run dry. And so because he doesn't want him to experience lack, I don't know who you at, but some of y'all think you're getting ready to experience lack. You got an opportunity where God's saying, no, you're not about to experience it, but you have to be obedient to the instruction. But the instruction, I'm going to tell you what this instruction is because it sounds kind of crazy because he tells Elijah, I want you to go to Zarephath. Now, sound biblical preaching and teaching. This Zarephath is a Gentile region. The people in Zarephath don't believe in Elijah's God. In fact, what's happening with Israel at this moment is the same thing that I can say is happening to the United States. I'm feeling real good right now. To the United States right now. They're trying to put God on a shelf. I've been bold these last couple of months, haven't I? I'm Nelson Bowen. I approve this message. No, they're trying to put God on the shelf. And so what's happening is they're no longer believing that Elijah's God is God. And so he says, I want you to go to Zarephath. The problem with Zarephath is that ain't no godly region. He's having them go where the Gentiles are. He says, I want you to go to Zarephath, which belongs to Sidon. And look what he says, go dwell there. And behold, watch this, I've commanded a widow. Now, this is a loaded phrase. Can I just talk about this phrase for a second? Because this thing is so loaded. He says, I've commanded a widow. Well, let's talk about the widow first. The widow, you have to understand that let's think about the context of the conversation. Elijah's getting ready to run dry. Say, run dry. God then begins to speak to him about a season where he is in need. Say, provision. So God begins to speak to him about provision. He says, I want you to go to Zarephath. That's an unlikely place. sometimes God will talk to you about unlikely places of where you're going to get provision. But the problem with us is that, see, for many of us, when we heard Zarephath, we would have shut that down right away. Because sometimes, like, I'm in the middle of a season where nothing's coming, and God says, quit your job. And you're like, well, that's the thing that sustains me. He said, no, but what I'm trying to do in you is unlikely. What I'm trying to do with you is going to confound your mind. It's going to make you, it's not really going to make sense. Like he'll tell you, like, yo, I'm getting ready to do something new in you. You don't see any provision. He says, okay, here comes Legacy Sunday. Show up. But then it's not just an unlikely place, because then he says, I've commanded a widow. See, a widow is, you have to understand that that's not the same thing as like a widow today. In this season, widows, like, what it meant is that they were like some of the poorest people in the nation, because those women, they leaned on their husband. Their husband did everything for them. It was their sustenance. It was their it was everything. And so what Elijah hears, God, dog, you got to hear this, while he's thinking about provision, is I want you to go to an unlikely place so I can use an unlikely person. And what you got to begin to see and understand is that sometimes when God talks to you about provision, he doesn't do it in ways that make sense to you. He says, no, I'm going to use some people that you've disqualified. I'm going to use some people that you don't think can do it. Like who's to say that the thing that takes us over this weekend is not the check that you write, but the jar that a kid dropped? What are you, or who are you disqualifying and saying, I don't want to go because that's unlikely? Okay, whatever, watch. Just watch. He says, I've commanded, listen, I've commanded a widow, which meant, Rashida, that before Elijah even shows up, that God's talking to someone about her, about him, before she ever get there. But the question that you got to understand, though, like when you really begin to see this, he's talking to a widow about provision. An unlikely person in an unlikely place, hear me, and a God that she don't even know. Because this is a Gentile region. And so what's happening is this chick is like, they're in the middle of a drought. She's impoverished. She don't have nothing. So all she can be thinking about is two things. How am I going to live? And how am I going to be able to survive? And God is talking to her and says, I've commanded you. I've commanded a widow, listen to me, to give. So this chick hears that she's supposed to give something. Okay, let me say it this way. This chick, Mike, hears that there's something that she is supposed to do. D.O. Impoverished. In a bad place. I'm going to show you how bad it is in a second. She has nothing to lose. And God says, I got something I need you to do. D.O. I got something I need you to do. I'm going to need you to give something. I don't need you. Listen. You want to know when you're supposed to do it. I just need you to give it. Now watch this. Now watch this guy. So God's talking to Elijah about like, none of this makes sense. But then you get to number 10. So he arose. Someone say obedient. If that's the way you speaking, okay. He arose and went to Zarephath. And when he came to the gate of the city, behold, a widow was there gathering sticks. And that speaks to just how broke she really is, sister. She's gathering sticks because that's how she's getting ready to make her meal. So there were two types of people. Like everyone didn't have to gather sticks. Some of them already had like a heating supply. They could burn oil. They could do all of that. Pop, she getting ready to do this the old-fashioned way. That's how poor she is. She has to rub two sticks together to start a fire. Because it's one thing for a famine to hit, but it's another thing when a famine hits and I'm already in poverty. Someone say nothing to lose. All right. And so she was gathering sticks, and he called to her and said, he got real bold, y'all. He said, bring me a little water. No, bring me some. He ain't ask. He ain't say, hey, sweetheart. If you don't mind, could you give me some water, please? He said, man, bring me some water, man. But you got to know who Elijah was. I love this because Elijah was the prophet. He was the man of God, but he also knew the authority that he walked in. He knew the way to, like he had that little, I wish I had my theme music right. That's what he knew, though. Like, that's how he was. He said, hey, man, bring me some water, man. Bring me some water in a vessel that I may drink. And sure, look, and that she was going to bring it. Husbands, I pray that spirit right there just kind of just Come on, women, come to the altar so I can lay some hands on you. I told them last night, baby, I was cleaning out the cabinet, and I found one of them little bells in the cabinet. And so I run that little bell. I sure had to look like, who in the world do you think? I said, put that back. Shut me right up, boy. Maybe that's why they sit. Never mind. All right. She said, bring me a little water to it. And then watch this. So she ain't had no lip for that, right? Okay, whatever. And then he said, bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. Translation, why you at it? Since you up, why you at it? Bring me a morsel of bread in your hand. Y'all know last week I wasn't here because I was participating in Spirit of Faith's giving Sunday. Now in Faith City Central. Man, Pastor Mike called me. Man, they got $3.1 million. So I told, he was like, man, ain't God good? And I said, man, God, well, why you up? Swing on by. Look, I put one of them, oh, God, if you're in the neighborhood, why to swing on by the highway? Please, God. Okay, now watch this. So, and so she had some lip for this one, though. The water I was cool with. Now you asking for too much. You want me to make you a meal? And you see where she puts herself as the Lord your God. As the Lord your God. Not as the Lord God, because we don't have the same God. She's a Gentile. So he says, the Lord your God lives. Listen to this. I have nothing baked. I don't have anything. And she really wasn't being smart. She was now talking about the desperateness of her situation. What she was really trying to say is, I would love to, but I can't. I would love to give you a piece of bread, but I can't. She probably want to say, I can barely give you this water. So now you asking for too much. She says, all I have is a handful of flour and a little jar of oil. You think you got it bad? She said, that's all I got. And I was gathering a couple of sticks that I may go and prepare it for myself and my son, that we may eat it and die. She's impoverished. She hasn't been eating. Let me tell you something. I think this is the Spirit of God. I can't prove it, but here's what I think. Mom, no, listen, I can't prove it, but this is what I've been studying, and even right now, just a confirmation. I think she was saving this because there was a couple of seasons ago where she was told she had to do something, D.O., that you're going to have to make a meal for the man of God. And so she wasn't eating because she was saving it. But I think she got weary because she thought he was going to show up a long time ago. You're not hearing this. She was saving it because she thought that he was going to show up a long time ago, that he was waiting. She's been waiting for this opportunity and waiting for this moment. And I think she said, you know what? The opportunity's not coming. So I'm getting ready to eat my seed. She's done. It's over. I'm ready to die. This is all I got left. I was commanded to do something a long time ago, to make a meal for someone. That someone never showed up. And so because I've gotten weary in my well-doing, I'm ready to eat the thing that God said was someone else's. She says, I'm getting ready to die. And here's what he said to her. You better not fear. Do not fear. Do not be afraid. And I'm speaking to whoever it is that where you feel like, yo, like we're getting ready to sow in this legacy off, and I'll be honest with you, I'm scared. I ain't never gave like this before. Or maybe you'd say that you're not sowing in the legacy offering because you said, I'm scared. I ain't never gave like this before. And he says, no, don't fear. I want you to do what you said. I want you to eat. But can you do this? First, make me a little cake. Hear what he says? No. I want you to go do that. I really do. I want you to go do that. But before you make your meal, can you make mine? Remember this table I had over here? Before you make your meal, can you just make mine? Make mine, listen to this, first. Well, why would I do it first? Because I need you to know that I need you to know that you trust. I need to know that you're prioritizing. I need you to know that like you can trust me to bring it to me first. And here's what he says, and then afterward. So after you made mine first, baby, afterward, make something for yourself and your son. But it's only enough to make one. You ain't get it. You ain't get it. You ain't get it. It's only enough to make one. He says, so make mine first, and then afterward, go make something for you and your son. He says, I'm getting ready to stretch what little you thought you had. I'm getting ready to stretch what little you thought you had. But if you eat it, it won't stretch. So take care of me first. Why? Because I got a DUE. I got a DUE. But I need you to DO first. And I've been talking to you about this a long time ago. And now the opportunity for you to DO is in front of you. But notice that the opportunity to DO didn't come when she had a whole lot left over. The opportunity to DO came when this was all she had. Because this is trust. I'm going to make my last meal. And I'm going to give it to you. And look what she says, verse 14. For thus says the Lord, the God of Israel. I love how she corrected that. Because he said, man, your God. He said, no, the God. Not just your God. No, the God. Can I tell you, the way God getting ready to bless some of y'all, they're going to be like, no, I serve the God. It ain't but one. It's only one. And that jar of flour shall not be spent, and that jug of oil shall not be empty until the day that the Lord sends rain upon the earth. Her due season came, D-U-E, but she has something to D-O first. Are you saying this? And God has presented you with an opportunity to D-O something. Legacy. It's an opportunity for you to do something. And listen,